Welcome to another episode of Real Estate, Real Life, Real Talk, Real Live with the Real Secrets of Money with your host, myself, Damon, the agent. Today is Friday, December the 12th, 2025. Time is flying, y'all. Happy holidays to everyone. So, as always, I like to jump into the wonderful world of real estate and begin. But before we begin, please follow me on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Threads, Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And for all of these episodes, you can always go to my YouTube channel and type in Damon the Agent and look under live. So, today I'm going to talk about behind the scenes of a real estate deal. And if I talk a little bit too fast, please let me know. But I'm going to go into a lot of things. Now, for any sellers who are actually putting their home on the market, there's a lot of behind the scenes that people don't know about. People only see where the houses come on the market and they say, oh, that's a nice house. And look at the price, but they don't understand that what we go through. First of all, as a real estate professional, we like to do a pre-listing walkthrough. This is when we set up an appointment with the homeowner. We talk about pricing. We walk through the house just to see anything, whether there's any recommendations for staging, decluttering. We talk about photography, professional photography for homes that are average and above. For those homes who are not average and above, a person like myself have my own personal camera. It just depends because photography costs. Um, we run comps and we create a marketing plan for the homeowner. These marketing plans are to be inducive with the goals of the homeowners to get their home sold. We also have homeowners to sign and fill out a property disclosure. Now, property disclosures that are filled out are normally for homeowners who have lived in property. If a homeowner has not lived in a property, such as, let's say, they rented it, or if an estate sale or um, things to that matter, then normally what happens is they sign a disclaimer. Okay. Now, we also talk about when the house will hit the market as far as syndicating of all the various websites. This is why a lot of times when you'll see houses that are on like Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, they are all been syndicated from a real estate professional MLS system. In this particular area, we are associated with Bright MLS. And then we put it into the Bright MLS and it syndicates on all those other ones. We do have options where homeowners can choose the coming soon option, which a lot of times will give people who are looking for home an idea when the house is coming on market. This can be a pros or cons in some cases, because in some cases it's very beneficial because it gives people the heads up. But sometimes it's not beneficial if someone's in the neighborhood is actually trying to sell a house and then they see that you're about to put your house on the market a week later. And then they say, oh, let me hurry up and put my house on the market. And then sometimes that's when it's not as beneficial for the homeowner, but in many cases it is very beneficial because it let buyers know that a house is coming soon. Now, there are other media ways of blasting people's property, such as social media, email blasts, broker networks, open houses, flyers, marketing flyers. Now, a lot of times when people do begin to look at homes once they hit the market, we do ask for feedback from the buyer's agent. To be honest with you, 95% of buyer's agents do not respond to these feedbacks. A lot of them show multiple houses, and the only time that most of them will provide a feedback is if their client is interested in the house and they're trying to give you a heads up. Other than that, they don't normally take the time to respond, even though it would be very critical and very crucial and very informative to the homeowners. Many of them do not. Now, when it comes to an offer, when an offer does come in on the property, we like to explain to the homeowner the terms of the offer, the financial types, any contingencies. Most homeowners want to know how much of they're netting. A lot of times that's their main focus, but we have to explain to them that there's sometimes risk involved when it pertains to an offer coming in, just depending on the terms of the offer. And that's what all the negotiating skills come in of the potential real estate professional. Now, once the contract is accepted, there are things that take place afterwards, such as the EMD, which is normally the deposit, has to be deposited and collected to either the buyer's agent's real estate company or title company or attorney, just depending on where the money is going to be held, but it does need to be collected. Title company begins to run title to make sure that all liens are clean and free against the property. The lender orders an appraisal. There's a home inspection that's done. That's always scheduled. If there's HOA or condo involved, documents have to be ordered, and deadlines are set once the contract has been accepted. Time becomes of the essence because everything that's written into the contract is very critical. During the transaction, there sometimes comes up inspection negotiations because if the home inspection comes back with anything major, just depending on the terms of the contract, that has to be talked about. Loan has to do underwriting. Hopefully, there are no appraisal issues. Title search. Hopefully, that cleans all liens and judgment. I currently have a property right now that has a major, it's not a defect, but when the homeowners bought the property, they tend to they paid it all, and for some reason, it hasn't been recorded. So it has an unrecorded lien against the property, and that's an issue right now because the bank that they bought it from tend to merge, and somehow the records cannot seem to be found. So that right now is holding up a lot of stuff. Now, repairs, credits, and addendums are always in negotiation after appraisals, after home inspections are done. Constant communications always need to be kept with the lender, title company, buyer, seller, appraiser, inspector, contractors, and other agent. Now, during the closing week, we always like to do a final walkthrough. Okay, most buyers will do a final walkthrough with the property just to make sure that everything according to the contracts is still there. Meaning, when there are disclosures involved, sometimes you have made people who might take the washer and dryer, but it was said in a contract that they're going to stay. You want to make sure there are no holes. You want to make sure everything is fine and in good condition. Final underwriting conditions are clear. CD, is sent, which is closing disclosures, closing documents are sent over to the title company. Utilities are normally switched the day of settlement. Keys are normally delivered at the settlement table, and settlement table has the signatures from both sellers and buyers. Now, when it pertains to that transaction, what happens behind that scene, I can always go more into detail and everything, but for the sake of time, I just wanted to go through them. If there's anything specifically that you all will want me to talk about, please let me know so I can make sure that I talk in depth about it. But I just have a lot of stuff going on, so I'm going to go to the house of the week. I'll be right back. All right, y'all. Right now, this is the house of the week. This house is a 7-bedroom, 4.5 bath home in Laurel, Maryland. It has 2-car garage, but 4-car in the driveway, as you can see from the area view right there. It also has a pond in the back of the home. So let's take a look at it. This is the area view over top. This is another area view where you can actually see. Look at the beautiful hardwood floors. It's the entrance. This is the office. Nice office space. Half bath that's on the main level. Homemade kitchen, an islander. 5-stove burner. This is the living room area with the fireplace. Upstairs with the primary suite, which has a dual closet right there. See the dual closet. Nice bathroom. Hallway, washer and dryer. Another bedroom with a full bath. It's another bedroom with a full bath. This property has actually three bedrooms with full bath in the bedrooms upstairs. It has 4 bedrooms upstairs and 3 bedrooms downstairs. We're downstairs in the basement now. It's the hallway. That's one of the open areas down in the basement. 1 bedroom right here. It's a full bath in the basement. Second bedroom right here. Third bedroom right here. That's in the basement. Again, this house is 7 bedrooms, 4.5 baths, 3 levels in Laurel, Maryland. That is the house of the week. All right. Let me go into my Q&A, which is my questions and answers. And if you have any questions that you would like to be answered on here, please let me know. All right. The first question is, before placing a contract on a home, can you and should you find out if the home has had any recent insurance claims? Before placing a contract on a home, can you and should you find out if the home has had any recent insurance claim? Now, normally, if it had any recent insurance claim, that would be a question that you would pose to the homeowner. As far as can you find that out if you work actually in the insurance industry, because in most cases, there's no way to really find that out before you place a contract on a home, unless you do your due diligence and you're very investigative with your skills to find that out. Most people do not find that out whether or not an insurance claim was um, a recent insurance claim was done before placing the offer on a home. Should the buyer be present for the home inspection? Oh, this is the next question. I'm sorry. Should the buyer be present for the home inspection? The answer to that is yes, they should be present for the home inspection, but they do not need to be present for the home inspection. And the reason is because today, in the world of technology, especially with FaceTiming and video calls, a real estate professional can actually do a video call with a buyer. For example, was it earlier? No, last year I had a buyer who moved from New York to this area and did a home inspection um, for them. And during the whole time, actually, I did a video call so they can see everything, because a lot of times home inspectors like to point out certain things about the home. So when the buyer actually move into the home, they're completely aware rather than just reading a home inspection report and figuring out things. So sometimes a home inspector will specifically tell a new buyer, hey, this is how you turn the airflow in the vents. This is where you do your water spouts. Specific details that is very critical for some buyers who may not know. So should the buyer be there? Yes, it is very informative and very good if they're always at the home inspection. But do they need to be there? No, because life happens and sometimes people cannot be at the home inspection. I would strongly always advise all buyers, if they can, to be at a home inspection. Next question. What should the buyer be checking for while doing the final walkthrough? What should the buyer be checking for while doing the final walkthrough? That's a good question. A lot of times when you're doing the final walkthrough, you want to make sure that the terms of the contract are still in place. For example, appliances. You want to make sure that the appliances are still there if the terms of the contract said that. For example, sometimes people may have an extra freezer when you're walking through the home. They may have a nice new washer and dryer. But if these things are not disclosed in the contract that they are going to convey when the house is sold, then a homeowner may feel like, okay, well, I didn't put it in the disclosure, so I'm taking my new washer and dryer. So you want to do the walkthrough to make sure that everything is still in place, because people have not done the final walkthrough, gone to a house and found there have been things missing that were supposed to convey per the terms of the contract. So what you're actually looking for is making sure that the house is still intact and that everything according to the contract is there. That's what you're looking for. The next question, what's the difference between active under contract and pending when looking for a home? What's the difference between active under contract and pending when looking for a home? Okay, this is the difference. Both of those mean that there's a contract on the property. Active under contract basically means there are contingencies on the property, so it's still open to go view, but please be aware there's a contract, meaning there can be a financial contingency, a home inspection contingency, an appraisal contingency. It can be some type of contingency on the home. And basically they're saying that we are accepting backup offers just in case this doesn't go through. The pending means we have the seller has accepted an offer and it is under contract. So you cannot go see the property. The active under contract still means you can go still view the property. That's what the difference is. They both have a contract on it. One has just been fully accepted, and then moving forward, we're going to settlement. That's the pending one. The active under contract means there's a contingency, and until that contingency is clear, it is still open for people to still go look at the properties. The next question, is it considered a second home if your first mortgage is paid off? Is it considered a second home if your mortgage is paid off on the first home? Again, let me read that again. Is it considered a second home if your first mortgage is paid off? Is it considered a second home if your mortgage is paid off on the first home? And the answer to that is yes. As long as your name is on the deed and you have ownership of both of them, yes, it's still considered a second home. Now, if you paid for a home and you paid it off and you transferred the deed out of your name to anyone else's name, whether it's a spouse, an ex-spouse, your children, a family member, then as long as it's not, your name is not on the deed, but as long as your name is on the deed, that is considered your home. It's just like, for example, a married couple. Let's say hypothetically, a wife finances the home and the husband is not on the loan, but yet the husband is on the deed. That's still that husband's home as well. So yes, it's still considered a second home. The next question, what are the pros and cons of seller financing? What are the pros and cons of seller? I'm sorry. Yeah. What are the pros and cons of seller financing? Okay, well, here's the thing. With seller financing, you're basically having that homeowner to basically finance the property for a potential buyer. In many cases, the buyer doesn't have good credit. So therefore, you're relying on the seller to finance for you. Now, the pros is that if they're willing to do it, but in these day and age, you really don't see too many people who are actually, too many homeowners who are actually financing it. And because the fact is, it's a huge liability for the homeowner slash seller. Now, the pro is it's faster and it's easier to close. There's no bank approval, underwriting, or long wait. Closing can happen in days instead of weeks. More flexible terms. Sellers can earn interest instead of receiving a lump sum. Sellers earn steadily monthly payments over time. Buyers may pay a higher price though because the sellers offering financing. Buyers are often willing to pay more for the property because many times they don't have the credit to actually pay for it. Now, the cons for the sellers is they're taking a risk. Like I said, if the buyer stops paying, the seller may need to foreclose. That's one of the reasons why you don't see that happens a lot of them. This takes time and costs money. The sellers don't get money up front. So for the buyer, the seller financing works best because they own the property free and clear and they want monthly income. Now, and again, the pros is it's quicker, it's easier. You don't have to pay, you don't have to wait weeks. You can close in days. The con is it's a risk to the seller. For the buyer, it's more beneficial to the buyer than it is a seller when you're talking about seller financing. But again, if the buyer stops paying, if the buyer doesn't hold up their part, then it puts the seller in a bind. And that's one of the reasons why you don't see it that often. So those are the pros and cons. Those are very good questions. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to send them by any means necessary, whether it's email, texting, or calling me, because I love answering any and all of these questions. Now, I'm going to be back with my topic of the week. Now, again, before we begin, please follow me on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Threads, Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Pinterest. And again, it's hashtag Damon the Agent on all of them. And if you have any questions, please follow me. And if you need to review any of these videos that I've had posted, they're on my social media, but you can always find them on YouTube under live. Just go to @Damon the Agent and it's there. Now, my topic of the week is give people their flowers while they're alive. Don't wait until they are dead. I say this to say There's so many times when people pass away, people show up to their funeral crying, show up to their grave wishing that they had the time back to spend to say things to them. A lot of times we hold grudges. We don't say things. We don't give people that we should acknowledge their flowers while we're here. But yet, at the same time, you want to be acknowledged. One of the things that I started doing in the summertime is I started this thing called Thankful Thursday, in which I thought about all the people who are in my life, who have been in my life, who have been critical, influential, who have just been supportive of me and been there for me. So I decided to give them their flowers because I've also seen too many times at funerals that people say, I wish I had 5 minutes to speak to them. I wish, I wish, I wish. And I say this to say that we as people, we are so stubborn sometimes. We are arrogant. We only think about ourselves to the point we don't think about anyone else. And one of the things that I had thought about is I've seen so many people when their mothers passed away that they had bad relationships with their mother and that they wish that their mother was here and that they regret not speaking to their mother and that they, and then I turn around and hear other people that when Mother's Day come, that these kids don't even acknowledge their mother, don't say Happy Mother's Day, but yet at the same time they're expecting something from them on their birthday. And I just thought about how selfish people are today. We only think about us, but what we fail to realize is we wouldn't be who we are, where we are without other people. And a lot of times the people you wouldn't be here is the people who are closer to you, whether it's your family, whether it's your spouse, whether it's your best friend, colleague, or whomever. You know who they are. But I also say this, that you don't have to celebrate people all the time, but every now and then, everybody wants to feel appreciated. So give people their flowers while they're alive, because when they're no longer here, you're going to regret it if you have not. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes people say, oh, no, I don't care. And the problem is you don't care because you really don't care about yourself, because you want somebody to acknowledge you when your birthday comes around, when Mother's Day comes around, when any special occasion comes around, you want to be acknowledged. But yet you don't even take the time to do that. And I say that to say that because I see too much selfishness out here. Most people are selfish, whether you want to admit it or not. Most people are selfish. It's all about me, 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 I. And that's why a lot of times people don't get what they want out of life. I remember Zig Ziglar said, you can have whatever you want in life if you help enough people to get what they want in life. And I say that to say that even in your circle, whether it's small or big, the people you should be giving your flowers to, the people you should just be acknowledging and appreciating, you don't. And then sometimes you wonder why you don't have good luck in your life, why things don't seem to happen to you. Sometimes you got to check yourself, because if you do a self-evaluation, I promise you that a lot of times the reason why things don't work out in your favor is because the way you treat people or mistreated people. And that can be your parents, that can be people who looked out for you or whatever. It's called karma. Karma comes back on people whether you realize it or not, whether you do good or bad. And if you did bad to people and stuff, don't think that you got away with it, because you didn't. It's coming back to you one way or another. And I say that to say, again, give people their flowers, y'all, because it's too many times that when you look on social media, people are dying every day. Every day, people are dying. And when people are dying, it's so many people who are regretful that they didn't acknowledge, they didn't speak to that person, they didn't reach out to them. Oh, her birthday just passed. I meant to call her. You didn't. Unfortunately, she passed away. Somebody in your family, I meant to talk to them. You didn't. But yet you take all the time to stroll all day on social media, but you can't take 5 minutes of your time to reach out to that loved one, to reach out to that special person. You could take time when you actually on the toilet to call them. See, we get so overwhelmed with life and we get so busy that we forget to make a living. And what I mean by that is, you know, life is worth living when you share with the people that love you and you love them. It's not good when you just being selfish and thinking everything is about you, because truth be told, it's not. Because when you pass away, this world is still going to revolve and keep going. So while you're here, take the time to acknowledge the people who have poured into you some way, somehow. Again, give people their flowers while they're alive. Please do not wait till they're dead, because I see too many times people are mourning and sorrowful because of things that they didn't do. And a lot of times, the only thing that they didn't do that they could change is that they did not reach out to somebody to acknowledge them, to say, I'm thinking about you. I miss you. I love you. I'm sorry. They didn't do those things. And then unfortunately, time has passed. Again, give people their flowers while they are here. Nobody knows the time, hour, day. Nobody knows. Again, don't be regretful or remorseful. Just be thoughtful and give people their flowers while you can. Nobody's saying you actually have to give them real flowers. You can give them a call. You know, I saw a post on social media where it was a challenge where kids were going around and kissing their dads just to see their reaction. And they were surprised. And the fathers were happy. And what I'm saying to you is stuff like that means a lot. Because when it's all is said and done, all you're going to have is memories. There's going to be good memories or bad memories. That's really up to you. Again, give people their flowers while they are here, alive, and don't wait until they did. Because when they did, it's going to be too late, y'all. And that's my thought today. Okay, I'm doing a quick recap. My recap is behind the scenes of a real estate deal. When you talk to a real estate professional as myself, we break it down from beginning to end. If you want to see the whole, because it's a lot, hit rewind on this or go to YouTube and type in at Damon the Agent and click live. And again, like I just said, give people their flowers, y'all, while they're alive. You know, it's too many people out here passing away. And there's too many people being regretful that they didn't even hold a conversation with their family, their loved ones, and people that they know that they should have. Let your pride go one way or another. All right, I'm going to check out right now. And Christmas is coming up soon. Wow, I got one more podcast before Christmas. But hey, I'm here for you. Don't forget to check out DamonTheAgent.com. And if you need me, call me at 240-694-6460. And as always, let me get y'all with this commercial real quick.
We sure could use the money.
Time for some upgrades. We're pregnant.
Oh my goodness, I need to downsize.
We buy houses for cash as is.
Damon the Agent. A name you can trust.
A name you can trust. All right, y'all. Y'all have a great weekend. I'll talk to you all soon. Yeah, and I got this jacket on because I'm going to another holiday party tonight, but this is not the jacket I'm wearing. All right, y'all have a great weekend.